This is an introduction to double object pronouns. Let's do a quick review first. In both Spanish and English, we use pronouns to take the place of nouns in sentences. Different pronouns serve different purposes. There are subject pronouns like yo tomo café, direct object pronouns like lo hice, indirect object pronouns like le regale un reloj, and we've already used the reflexive pronouns like me lave las manos. Remember, a direct object is a noun or a pronoun that receives the action of the verb. It answers the questions what or whom. Yo compro un carro nuevo. What does that mean? I buy a new car. So then I ask, what do I buy? Carro. I buy a car. And so that is my direct object. And if I wanted to replace it with a pronoun, yo lo compro. Note the orders of the words. In our normal sentence, Ana compra chocolate, we have subject, verb, and direct object. But when we use a pronoun, we switch the order. It becomes Ana lo compra. That's because the object pronouns always precede the verb in sentences where there is only one verb. Now, indirect objects are nouns and pronouns that indirectly receive the action of the verb. It answers the question to whom, for whom, or from whom. For example, digo a Ana, and that means I tell Ana. Whom do I tell? Ana. Ana is the indirect object. Yo le digo. Again, note the order of the words. Ana compra chocolate para mí, subject verb, direct object, and indirect object. But when I'm using object pronouns, it again changes, and I'm going to put the object pronoun, the indirect object pronoun, in front of the verb. Ana me compra chocolate. Let's review the pronouns, both direct and indirect. If my subject is yo, the corresponding object pronouns are me for direct objects, and again, me for indirect objects. For tú, te, and te again. Now, él, ella, and usted is where we have changes. For the direct object pronouns, they are lo if the object is masculine, or la if the object is feminine. Indirect object pronouns are easier. It's le, regardless of gender. Nosotros or nosotras, nos and nos. And again, we see a difference here for ellos, ellas, and ustedes, los and las, depending on gender, or les for the indirect object pronoun. And again, we're not worried about gender. Placement. In Spanish, the direct object pronoun is placed before the verb if there is only one verb. If there's more than one verb, it is the speaker or writer's choice whether to place the pronoun or pronouns before the first verb or to attach it to the second. And to make it easier on yourself, you'll never be wrong if you put the object pronouns before the verb unless you're dealing with a command. So let's practice the direct object pronouns so we're up to speed again. ¿Prestaste tu carro a Jorge? Take a moment to translate that. Did you loan your car to Jorge? Now, what did we loan? Carro. Carro is going to be our direct object, so the blank goes before the verb. I'll give you a second to fill it in. Lo prestaste a Jorge. And again, lo refers to carro because carro is masculine. Another one. Yo tiré la pelota a Miguel. What does it mean? Let me give you a second. I threw the ball to Miguel. And what did I throw? The ball. Pelota is my direct object. Go ahead and fill in the blank. Yo la tiré a Miguel, and la replaces pelota. Now let's practice the indirect object pronouns. Marta compró flores a mí. Give you a second to translate that. Marta bought flowers for me. What did Marta buy? For whom did Marta buy the flowers? A mí. She bought them for me. Go ahead and fill in the blank. Marta me compró flores, and me replaces a mí, and now it means Marta bought me flowers. How about di dinero a mi amiga? Go ahead and translate that. I gave money to my friend. To whom did I give money? My friend. So the indirect object is amiga, and go ahead and fill in the blank. Le di dinero, and now it means I gave her money. Now, double object pronouns. As you will have noticed from the previous slides, many sentences contain both direct and indirect objects. In the earlier slides, we only changed one of the objects to an object pronoun. But we can also change both objects to object pronouns. However, when we use both direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns in the same sentences, the indirect object pronoun always comes first. So our sentence, Ana dio dinero a ti, which means Ana gave money to you. When we use both double object pronouns, it becomes Ana te lo dio. And how about Juan hizo un pastel para mí? Go ahead and translate that. Juan made a cake for me. And let's substitute direct object pronouns. Juan me lo hizo. And again, both of the object pronouns are before the verb, and the indirect always comes first. Here's another rule, however. When the direct object pronoun, lo or la, or the plural los or las, is used in the same sentence as the indirect object pronoun, lo or les, we change the indirect object pronoun to say, and we use that for both singular and plural. This change is needed to avoid the tongue twister effect of le lo, les la, and so on. So let's go ahead and do a few to make sure you have the hang of this. Mercedes hizo una fiesta para Alicia. Go ahead and translate that. Mercedes threw a party for Alicia. Now, what are our object pronouns? Fiesta is our direct object pronoun. It's what she threw. Alicia is the indirect object pronoun because it is the person for whom she threw the party. Okay, go ahead and substitute the object pronouns here. Mercedes se la hizo is the correct answer. How about Fernando le llevó las botanas a Marcos? Go ahead and translate that. Fernando brought the snacks to Marcos. And what are our indirect and direct object pronouns? Botanas and Marcos. And note, there's already le in the sentence because in Spanish, remember back when we did indirect object pronouns, you can always double up on the indirect object pronouns. Go ahead and substitute in the correct pronouns here. Fernando se las llevó. One last one. Gabriel le regaló un anillo a Samuel. And what does it mean? Gabriel gave or gifted a ring to Samuel. And what are our direct object pronouns? Anillo and Samuel. Anillo is direct because it is what Gabriel gave. Samuel is indirect because it is the person to whom Gabriel gave the ring. Go ahead and substitute it in. And note again, when we have single verbs, you have no option. The indirect and the direct object pronouns always come before the verb. Now, you do have a choice if you have two verbs, but it makes sense to just get in the habit of putting them in front of the verb at all times because that's an easy way to remember it. All right, I'm going to stop the slideshow here. I'm going to send you the complete slideshow with more exercises so you can practice what you just learned.